Hello, everybody, and welcome. Today is June 25th, and for many MJ fans, it is a sad day. We decided here at MJJP that we're going to focus and celebrate on how the man lived and how he lived through his music. So
Yes.
today is a celebration. And one of the best people to discuss Michael Jackson and his music is Siedah Garrett. Siedah Garrett is an outstanding singer, songwriter, whose work profoundly touched serious music lovers all over the world. She's best known as the co-writer for Michael Jackson's anthem, Man in the Mirror. And she's
That's
also,
right.
yep, and she's also his duet partner on the worldwide smash, I Just Can't Stop Loving You. But
Hi,
Siedah,
Melanie.
hello, Siedah is also a Grammy winner, and not one, but twice has been nominated for an Oscar. So we
Yeah.
welcome to the MJ Family Global Zoom chat. That's a lot to say. Siedah Garrett. Welcome, Siedah.
Thank you so much. I'm so happy to be here.
We welcome.
Glad to be up at this hour.
We appreciate that. Before we get started, we want to wish you a very happy birthday because we knew yesterday was your birthday.
It was indeed.
So they're all wishing you happy birthday in the chat room as we speak.
Thank you so much. I'm still here.
Thank you. All right, Siedah, let's get started. Tell me how a girl from Compton, California, got introduced to Michael Jackson and the Jackson 5. I understand that you at one point thought Michael was your husband. Talk about that.
I did, and for a very long time, I was trying to convince him of that too. But when I was a kid, the Jackson 5 were everything. And for me, I think it was the first time I saw a Black kid who looked like me on national television. It was a big deal. So when we would play, my cousins and my sister and I, we would pick one member of the Jackson 5 to be our husband. And, you know, my cousin had Randy and Jermaine or whatever, but my husband was Michael Jackson. So I lived with my whole childhood. Then in my late 20s, I auditioned for Quincy Jones for some super group he was putting together. And with that audition that I won after 9 months, I kept getting these letters. But I won a chance to audition for Mr. Jones. And in that audition, after 9 months, we formed this super group. In this group, it was a contract for an artist deal coupled with a songwriting deal. Now, I'd never written a song in my life. I wrote poems. You know, I didn't know anything about songwriting. I knew that it was a job, and I knew there was a method to it, and I knew there was a way to do it, and I didn't know that way. I knew there was a formula to songwriting that I didn't know because I had never written a song before. But the deal was you either get the artist and the publishing deal or nobody gets anything. And I was with 4 large Black men who decided that I was going to sign that contract. So when 3 large Black men knock on your door,
you signed that.
I signed this damn contract. I signed the contract. And then I went about the business of learning how to write a song. In those Quincy Jones auditions, I'm sorry, there's a leaf blower. I don't know if you can hear it.
No, we're good.
Okay. In those Quincy Jones auditions, there were many producers and songwriters that were writing a song for Patty Austin for Quincy Jones. Everyone was submitting songs, and I happened to be singing all the demos because I was who they saw in those auditions. So they knew that I had Quincy's ear because I was auditioning for him. So I was singing everybody's demos. So Quincy would keep getting these new songs with my voice on them. So after 9 months, I signed the contract, and then I started learning how to write songs because I didn't want to be sued by Quincy Jones for, contract not fulfilling my contractual agreement. So I started to really learn how to write songs, and I'd been singing songs for all these producers. So I as a demo singer, you learn different techniques of how songs are written, how they're arranged, how they're produced, and how they're sung.
Mm-hmm.
That was the most amazing lesson and learning time for me as a demo singer. And through those demos, Quincy kept hearing my voice, and then I got in this group. That is how I started writing songs. Quincy asked in the middle of the Bad album, towards the end, he was looking for one more song for Michael. He asked his songwriters, I think there were about 6 or 8 of us at the time on the West Coast. We had this meeting. I was late for the meeting. You know, I walked in and sort of sequestered myself in a corner and started taking notes. So I took those notes to my dear friend, Glenn Ballard, who I'd only been singing demos for up until this time. So we wrote this song, or we started to write this song, cut to 2 years before this moment at Glenn's house. Writing a song with jazz pianist, amazing jazz pianist named John Beasley. So John and I were writing this song, and I thought we were doing quite well when the phone rang. John picks up the phone and he begins this very bland, banal conversation. No, I'm not doing nothing. No, I'm sitting there kind of seething. We didn't just say he's not doing nothing. When we're trying to write the song, he didn't say we're not doing nothing. So I'm like, and while he's on the phone, I'm flipping through my lyric book, right? And I'm flipping through the book, and I come across this page with the phrase "man in the mirror" written somewhere in the middle. The phrase literally popped out at me. While I was flipping through the book, Glenn says he gets up and he turns on the keyboard. He said, "Let me get some sounds." So he starts playing, dum 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 dum, just to get a sound on the keyboard. I flipped through the book. That phrase popped out. I just started singing. In like 7 minutes, we had the first verse and chorus.
Wow.
Man in the Mirror. It was a Wednesday evening. He said, "Let me finish the track. You finish the lyric. We'll demo this on Friday." We demoed it on Friday, but finished too late to turn it into the Quest offices. So I decided Quincy really needed to hear this song before Monday. So I called him and he said, "No, I'm having a meeting. I got 12 suits at my dining room table. I'm busy. I can't." I said, "Quincy, please, can I just?" Quincy said, "No, Sid, I'm busy. I can't." I said, Quincy has 6 daughters. At that moment, he knew this conversation was futile. He said, "Okay, bring it." Shit. I brought this cassette to Quincy's house and I knocked on the door and he opened the dining room door and sure enough, there were 12 suits sitting at his dining room table and they're looking at their watches and they're looking at me like, what the hell? This must be really important if he's breaking this up to deal with you, right? So I'm getting all this energy from the dining room. So I gave Quincy the tape and I said, "The only thing I ask you is that you just get back with me. I mean, I couldn't wait till Monday." So he said, all right. An hour and a half to 2 hours later, I'm at my house. The phone rings and Quincy says, and I quote, "Sid, this is the best song I've heard in 10 years. And I'm like, yes. And then he said, "But," and you know how when Charlie Brown speaks, the teacher speaks, all you hear is whoop, whoop, whoop.
Yes.
That's all I heard because I wanted to live in best song in 10 years. I just wanted to
live in that moment. Yes.
Yes, darling. Live in that. And then and I heard him say something about Michael has been in the studio for 2 years. He has yet to record a song he didn't write. I don't know, but Sid, don't worry. Don't worry if I don't do it with Michael on my album. I mean, on his album, I'll do it with James Ingram on my album. And I'm thinking, Now, let me tell you, I love James as much as anybody, but Michael Jackson, that was my husband. Okay? So I'm just over the freaking moon right now. And then Quincy says something like, Michael thinks the chorus is too short. You need a couple more. And then I hear, yeah. And then Quincy says, and Michael really wants you to hold on. And then I hear, and hold on a minute, Sid, hold on. And Quincy Jones puts Michael Jackson
On the
my husband. Okay, so I knew instinctively I didn't want to be, oh my God, Michael, I love you so much. You're everything to me. You're my husband. I love you. I wanted to be the total opposite of that. So I got on the phone and I was straight hotel operator. I said, how can I help you? Michael said the first thing he said to me was, I love this song. And I'm like, thank you. Second thing he said to me was, and I love your voice. And I'm like, yeah! Inside. Didn't let it out. All inside. Okay? So for some reason, I knew I didn't want Michael to have to worry his pretty little head about coming up with extra lyrics. So I decided that I would write 6 different stanzas.
wow.
From. And he ended up using, you got to get it right while you got the time, because when you close your heart, then you close your mind.
Yes, yes.
And that was the second half of the chorus that was not in the original demo. And that's how I came to meet Michael Jackson, through that song. The first time I actually met him in the flesh was in the studio at Westlake Audio. Quincy called me into the studio to re-sing the demo in a lower key, because I sang it, my voice is 1 step higher than Michael's voice is comfortable singing. So I had to sing it in a lower key, excuse me. And so when I went there, I'm thinking it's gonna be me, Bruce Swedien, and Quincy, and maybe a few musicians finishing the track or whatever. I walked in, and it's me, Bruce Swedien, Quincy Jones, and my husband. So the first thing, he introduces himself to me like he needed to. And we just started talking about the song. And then Quincy said, after we got our little, introductory things out of the way, Quincy said, okay, go in there and record it in the lower key. So I get up and I start walking to the other room, which is on the other side of the glass partition. And Michael gets up too and starts walking behind me with a big old video camera on his shoulder. I said, what are you doing? What? He said, I want to record you singing this because I want to sing it like you.
Aww.
I said, great, Mike. All my friends are going to believe me when I tell them he wants to sing it like me. So I go in there and I start singing the song, and it was really one of the most surreal experiences that I've ever had. Second only to my actually recording the duet with Michael and not knowing at the time it was going to be a duet. Not knowing at the time I walked into the studio that I was going to sing with him. Not knowing at the time I walked into the studio that I wasn't going to finish recording Man in the Mirror, but I was going to start recording I Just Can't Stop Loving You. All this was a complete surprise to me. I walked in the studio that day thinking, because we had already had the background session for Man in the Mirror. We'd already done the vocals for Man in the Mirror, but we didn't finish that day. So I thought when he called me back, we were gonna finish Man in the Mirror, but a different song was playing. So I just sat down thinking, they're not ready for me yet. I sat down and I started to knit. and I'm just sitting in the studio knitting. And the song is playing, and Quincy, I'm sitting in the back of the room on a couch behind the mixing board. So Quincy kind of turns over his shoulder and says, "Hey, Sid, you like this song?" I said, "Yeah." He said, "I wish he would go. He's really bugging me, the leaf blower guy." Anyway, so I said, "I love this is a great song. I can sing it, sure." So he said, "Okay, get up and go in there and sing it." So I get up and I go, and then Quincy says, "Michael, go on in there." And I'm thinking, what? And I'm walking into the studio and I see this music stand, 2 music stands, 2 microphones, music on each stand, and the music said, "I just can't stop loving you." And the first verse said Michael, second verse Siedah, third verse Michael. What if I said, "No, I don't really like this song"? What if I said that? Would have been no duet that day, trust. It was such an amazing experience. I mean, think of someone who you wholly admire and you have your whole life. And then all of a sudden, you not only are introduced to them, you're standing in front of them, you're singing with them, not even for them, you're singing with them. Child, my head was blown.
I can imagine.
I couldn't believe, I could barely believe what was happening. And it took a lot for me to just congeal my emotions. I had to keep it tight.
Yeah.
So I did everything that I could do to be as normal as possible in this extremely abnormal situation.
I want to ask you a question about your latest song,
Yes.
The New Frontier.
Yes.
Given the fact that we are in a tumultuous time right now, and all the songs you write, even Man in the Mirror and my personal favorite, Keep the Faith, can also apply to right now. But talk about The New Frontier and what was in your heart when you wrote it.
Yes, ma'am. I wrote this song several years ago when the 2 names were Tamir Rice and Trayvon Martin and Freddie Gray. Unfortunately, years later, I keep having to add verses to this song with each death. There's another story. And when all this started happening of late, it just sort of started a resurgence of the idea of that song and how sad it is that it's still relevant today. And I wrote it several years ago. Mm-hmm. So I wrote these new verses with the newest deaths being chronicled, and I recorded it, and I started to realize that this song was kind of important, and it's a message that can be used to heal, can be used to help understand, can be listened to and felt on a deeper level than just a conversation.
Exactly.
Speaks to us from the inside out.
Mm-hmm. Politics
and news comes to us from the outside in. I wanted a way for us to express ourselves and I wanted to write the emotion down that I was feeling, and I knew if I was feeling it, others were feeling it too.
Yeah.
So this new song, The New Frontier, Say Their Names, is a chronicle of 2 incidences. The latest, his names escape me at this moment.
George Floyd
and Breonna Taylor.
Yeah.
Oh God. The weird part is we shot a video with a very limited crew. I think there were like 4 of us because we were all wearing masks except me. Everybody was wearing masks and shields and gloves and everything. So I'm on camera and I'm singing this song. We're all we're all just trying to put something out into the world that people can sort of latch onto and feel better about the situation, or feel like they are in tune with the situation and they understand it better. I just wanted the words to be out there in the universe, and maybe it'll sink in, since all of our news is coming from the outside in. If I put this message out, maybe that will sink in. That's all I'm saying.
And I'm sure that resonates with everybody in the chat room, because I'm looking at the messages right now, and I can tell that has an important part in your heart.
I can't see.
There we go.
Yeah.
So
Wow.
they're sending all their love to you. So Siedah, I know you have to go in a minute, but I want to ask.
I want to stay.
You want to stay?
Let me
Want you to stay. Okay. All right, Buds, do you have a question for Siedah?
Well, let me go to my emails, because, this morning has been a little bit crazy. So,
okay, well, I'm going to skip ahead and we'll get back.
I got one.
Okay, you got one?
This one is from Red Jackson. It's an email. It said, what was the worst and what was the funniest mishap that happened while on tour with Michael?
Well, let me tell you, the first thing that happened was on the first show in Germany. I was something happened with my makeup, and I ran back just before the show started. I ran back to the makeup room to have the makeup girl fix whatever. But during that time, Michael and the rest of the band had the prayer, which I missed. So we go on stage, and I'm kind of sad about. I'm like, where's everybody? Oh, they're praying because we're getting ready to go on stage, and I started to cry because I missed the prayer. And Michael comes over to me and says, "What's wrong?" And I missed the prayer. This is our first show, and I missed the prayer. Michael's like, wait, hold on. Let's just do it right now. So he holds my hands and we say a little prayer right there. And then we go on stage. That was the most touching moment and the most intimate that I'd been with Michael, save from the week that we spent recording Man in the Mirror and I Just Can't Stop Loving You in 3 different languages. English, French, and Spanish.
Right. Amazing.
Really intimate times where just he and I. And then the whole time we rehearsed for the tour, Michael wasn't there. He only came for the last week of rehearsal, which was about a month, maybe a month and a half. And so I didn't get to spend that kind of quality time with him because he was on stage and there was the lighting and there was the smoke and there was the choreography and it was all these different things that he was doing, which is not focusing on the vocals and recording with me and him. So when I had that moment with him before we went on stage for the first time in Germany for the Dangerous World Tour, it really comforted me and made me feel like this guy really cares about what's happening with the artists that he employs, because he didn't have to take time out before his big show to hold my hand and say a little prayer, so I feel good.
Right.
It was crazy. He was really one of the most unique humans I've ever met in my life.
And that's I think it's important for folks like yourself, Harrison Funk, who's on the phone, we'll talk to him in a second, to really tell those stories about what Michael's heart was about, because there's so much tabloid nonsense written. We want to
look at Square One, the new Netflix documentary, Square One. It'll settle a lot of issues.
Yes.
But here's the thing. When the other documentaries came out, it was all about that negative stuff. It was all about it. Get in there, get it, sink into it, relish it, spread it around. But now that this other documentary showing the other side of the story,
Media's mute. Yeah, totally.
Crickets. I don't hear anything. I haven't heard a word about it. Trust, we have had we're in a pandemic, we've had rioting, we've had looting, we've had murders. I guess through all of that, the Michael Jackson story is just simmering underneath all of that garbage.
Right.
But I'm here to tell you, I'm stressing, check out that documentary. I don't have anything to say for or against. Just know everything there is to know. And this is another side of that same ugly story.
Exactly. And it's important for everyone. And if you haven't seen that documentary, it's on YouTube, it's on Amazon Prime.
And Netflix.
And
I think it's on Netflix.
No, is it?
Maybe I'm wrong.
No,
Square One.
We wanted to get to Netflix, so let's put that out in the universe.
Yeah. And in fact, on Amazon Prime, they had a whole banner of for Black Lives Matter movies, and it was right up there. It was right up there in the list. It was fantastic. Yeah.
I love it.
Yeah. So I have a question, since you brought up the prayer. Michael was a very religious man. I mean, he didn't hide that. And I always thought that was what made him so strong, and he was able to push back against all this negativity because he just had so much faith in God. Do you feel like his religion really helped him get through all the hard years of
I don't know. I talked to him about when he sort of, I don't know if he denounced Jehovah's Witness as a religion, or if he just decided he was going to step away from it.
Right.
But I had a conversation with him about that when it happened, and he was making a lot of changes at that time. It was that he fired his manager, he changed record companies. It was just a lot of flux. And I said to him, I said, dang, you like firing everybody, getting rid of everybody. Michael Jackson looked at me and said, you still here? What do you say about? I was like, oh, okay. I zipped it real quick. When he said that to me, I said, I need to shut up right now. He's right. I am. I'm still here.
And you still are.
You still are.
Like it or not, I still am.
Siedah, I want to talk, and most of us have seen the video of you on stage singing I Just Can't Stop Loving You, yes, in a blonde wig. Now,
yes,
give us some insight how that.
I wanted to mix it up a little bit. And I had people backstage saying, don't do that. Michael doesn't like it when you change things. Don't do that. I'm like, shut up. I'm going to do what I want to do. I think it'll be fun. It was New Year's Eve, and I walked out on stage for the duet. See, because in the beginning of the show, Michael's focused on the audience, and we're behind him singing background, right? So he didn't really notice me. When I came out to do the duet, Michael took one look at me and just started cracking up. He started laughing so hard he could hardly sing the song. He was laughing so hard. And for me, that, and me ignoring all the naysayers, don't do that, Michael doesn't like when you change. I didn't want to hear, I just wanted to have a little fun. And he enjoyed it, I enjoyed it, and it was a moment.
And we're still enjoying it, yes.
Thank you, thank you.
All right, let me bring in.
Blonde for a moment, can you blame me?
No, not at all.
I know you don't.
Siedah, we have somebody here who wants to talk to you. He was a guest in our very first Zoom chat, and when he heard you were going to be on, he said, I need to be part of this. And he was also on tour with you. It's Harrison Funk. Harrison, say hello to Siedah.
Hey!
I haven't seen you since your show at Catalina's.
Oh my goodness, bless your heart. That was a good show. That was a really good show. I had fun doing that.
That was great. Great, you and Greg.
Yeah, Quincy was in the house. Burt Bacharach was in the house. David from David Page from Toto. It was just an amazing evening.
Yeah.
We might do that again. We were gonna do it in July, but you know, the Rona, you know.
Rona kid, yes.
Yeah. So we have to postpone it till later this year. But yeah, we're gonna do it again, probably at Herb Alpert's place in Vibrato and Bel Air or Beverly Glen or something like that. Yeah, in the Valley. Vibrato. Yeah, we'll probably be doing that in July. Just look out for that. It should be fun.
Yep, she said the grotto.
Cool.
Vibrato, vibrato.
Vibrato.
Yeah, Herb Alpert's place.
So do you two have any backstage stories you can tell us about being on tour with Michael Jackson?
backstage stories,
Yeah.
it was always drama backstage show.
Yes.
Not necessarily involving Michael, but you know, it's a band. We traveled with our own plane. Michael traveled separately from us on his plane, but on our plane there were over 250 tour members. I mean, the band, the singers, the musicians. I mean the dancers, the crew. It was over 250 of us that traveled together. So there was always drama backstage. Always like. Oh, my husband just reminded me. There was one time when I really felt what Michael's life must be like on a daily basis. Okay, we were in Spain. We had just arrived. We didn't have a show till the next day. But when we traveled with Michael in Europe, there was a series of hotels. There was A hotels, B hotels, and C hotels. A hotels were the top hotels for Michael and his guests. B hotels was for the band and the singers and the dancers. C hotels were for the crew. A hotels was like the Four Seasons. B hotels was like maybe the Marriott, the Ramada Inn, whatever. C hotels were like Holiday Inn. Okay. So there were some times in certain countries where there was no B hotel. There was only A and C. Michael was gracious enough not to put the band and the singers in the C hotels. We stayed in the A hotels with him. Good and bad. Good part is we're in a great hotel.
Yeah.
Bad part is we're in a great hotel with Michael Jackson. Okay? Every time we were in the A hotels, all day and all night, we are the world. We are all night. Michael! We hated it. We absolutely hated it.
Wake up to this. It was all night long. The kids, the fans were on the street. There was a point in Paris where I'm sorry, in Nice, where the police had to shut down 4 blocks around the hotel.
Yeah.
But there were so many fans. And the hookers on Boulevard des Anglais were complaining they couldn't do their work because all the fans were taking over and blocked them.
You know, fans, they don't care. We don't care. We love what we love, and that's it. So listen, we were in Spain, and in this hotel, they had roped off the entranceway to the hotel with red velvet ropes on either side. Now, on either side of the ropes were fans, like 6 deep, lining the pathway from the hotel lobby out onto the street. So I went down to the front desk and I exchanged money so I could. We're in Spain. I need leather, coats, jackets, purses, shoes, leather. Hello, we're in Spain. I was going shopping. So we get this money, me and my another band member, and we start walking outside between these red velvet ropes. And I'm walking between the ropes, and I hear behind me, "Hey, that's Siedah Garrett." So I turn around, and the crowd starts rushing. Man, me and my friend, we took off running down the street. We're running full speed down the street, and I'm running. I'm saying to my friend, "What are they gonna do when they catch us?" And we're running for blocks, and then somebody must have said, "Hey, what if Michael comes out of the hotel and we're chasing Siedah Garrett?" So they turned around and went back to the hotel. But listen, that was the scariest time in my life, because I'd never been chased by a mob before.
You got a real
that was his life every freaking day.
Yeah.
Michael would tell me stories about they would pull his hair out, they would rip his clothes. They just wanted a piece of him.
That's when Michael used to say that they love so much it hurts sometimes.
Yeah, it hurts him. Their love hurts him. Yeah.
Hey, Buds, do we have another question for Siedah?
Yeah. 1 second. This is from Abby Lanina. We asked people to send in questions ahead of time so it would be easier. She said, as a performer and musician herself, is there any advice Michael gave you that you still cling to this day? And can you share it with other performers?
Yes. Michael Jackson was a perfectionist. Michael rehearsed and rehearsed and rehearsed until he became the best at what it was he was trying to do. So through touring with him, I learned how he managed an audience. I learned how he paced his shows. I learned how he interacted with his fans. I learned how he wrote songs. I learned so much about the man and the artist watching him do what he does that I use some of the things I learned from him in my performing and my songwriting and my entertaining period to this day. He was a great teacher because he was a great student.
Yes. Yeah.
He used to say that study the masters and become greater. That was
There you go.
Michael.
Very much.
Yeah. Definitely did that.
It's true. Michael would he would watch the greats and he would take what they did and put his own little spin on it and then prove it in that way. Like he would study James Brown. He studied Fred Astaire. He studied all these people whose art he really respected, and then he flipped it. He used what they gave him and then flipped it and made it his own.
Right.
That's a great lesson to learn, and that keeps you fresh all the time. That's why Michael was always reinventing himself. It was always a new thing because he learned from the greats.
Right. Fred Astaire even said that I finally know who my descendant is, and it was Michael Jackson. That quote blows me away. That quote just is amazing from Fred Astaire. I have another question from a Rio Cour, or Coure, I'm not sure how to pronounce it. He said, if you could talk to Michael right now, what would you tell him?
I'd tell him, I don't know if I would need to tell him anything. I think he would tell me some stuff about what's happening right now. That's a good question. I have no idea.
It's a good question.
I have no idea. What would you tell him?
Me, personally?
Yeah.
I would tell him that he touched my life in so many ways, and even though I never met him, he really changed me internally. My thinking, my whole thinking. Yeah.
That's what music does. It gets inside.
Right.
My husband's trying to talk to me while I'm trying to talk to you guys. I'm trying to ignore him, but he's.
Tell Eric we said hello. Hey, Eric.
Hey.
Here's another question. Okay, sorry. There's another question from Patty Olivera.
Aloe vera?
I guess it's Olivera. I don't know how to pronounce it. Olivera? Patty?
Olivera. Okay, yeah.
This is, how do you feel when you hear Man in the Mirror being played at the protests for Black Lives Matter? How do you think Michael would have felt?
Oh, he would have loved that. He would have absolutely loved that. The fact that his music was the focus and would gather people and center people and help laser focus people's attention on the situation at hand. I think he would have loved that. Are you kidding?
I think so too.
I love it.
I do too. Especially when I hear young children singing Man in the Mirror. And there have been lots of videos on YouTube of choirs of young children singing We Are the World, but also sing Man in the Mirror. It just touches my heart to hear that.
Yeah.
And that's your legacy, Miss Garrett. That will go on forever.
Yes.
It's amazing to know that there is something that I helped to create that will last beyond my life. That the world can just use to heal, to feel better, to change their minds, to change their hearts, to do good. I don't know. I think I'm proud of that I put something out there that means a lot. I mean, I would never write, no disrespect to the writer of this song, but I could never write my neck, my back. I couldn't. That's just not me. That's just not me. I mean, I'm happy it's out there for those that need that. But my legacy must be lasting and educational and meaningful and current and poignant. And I will only write songs that have something to give. I mean, I'm a songwriter. I love writing songs that make you happy. I love writing songs that make you laugh. I love writing songs that make you dance. But my favorite thing is writing songs that make you think, that make change, make you want to think about how you're living your life. That's what I like to do.
Right.
When I write a protest song, it's just me saying, this is what I think. I'm just happy that other people are saying, I think that too. I want to change that too. I need to fix that too. That's what I'm most proud of as a songwriter, to leave those kind of lasting legacies that will live beyond my small years, beyond my few years on this planet.
Exactly. Siedah, we hear a lot of conversation about the next Michael Jackson, the next king of pop. And most of us in the fan community believe there is no such thing as the next.
I'm wondering what the hell you talking about right now, because that's like, a unicorn. That will never, that's not going to happen again. No way will anybody sell any more records. Like, there's no records like that to be sold. There are no albums to be sold like that. Never in the history of mankind will there ever be an artist selling 40 million albums. Never. It's a time in history that will never be repeated. He's an artist in this world that will never be duplicated. There will be others like him who try and emulate him, and some who do very well at it, and we know who they are. Chris Brown, know who they are, but I love the fact that they have taken from Michael and then done their own thing with it. He is a source of energy, of creativity, and to this day. And for the rest of humanity, will we be pulling from his works and his creative genius and his choreography and his songwriting. And Michael Jackson was a seriously underrated singer as well. I just loved his voice, and I loved what he did with it. And I don't know if you've ever tried to sing like Thriller. Have you ever tried to sing Thriller? Not easy. Yes. It's not. I had the misfortune of being on stage, realizing that I can't sing this song. He had a moment in history where he completely ruled. He ruled fashion. He ruled music. He ruled choreography. He ruled recording. He was just the top of his game for a very long time. Mm-hmm. It was a sight to behold. I feel privileged to have witnessed just being, 10 feet, 20 feet from him on the world stage. I mean, man, traveling with Michael Jackson was like touring with Jesus. I am so not kidding. Yes. Legions of fans, just so much love and energy focused on one person, one artistry, one source of music, one soul that gave so much to so many. Right. There will never, I'm sorry, never, there will never be another. We agree. There'll be an iteration thereof, but there will never be another artist who has done as much for the music industry as he had. Yeah, right. Mainly because there is hardly a music industry to affect, but he made changes in our creative lives that you may never even notice that happened because of something that he did or something that he put out musically. He really changed the world, and he changed the scape of music as an artist. Yes. I just appreciate everything, and daily I appreciate things that he's done, because there are days when I'm Michael Jackson's the last thing on my brain, and I will pull up next to a car and he's coming out the car window.
Yeah.
I will go to a department store and he's coming out the music. I will walk on an elevator. He's in the elevator. He's everywhere I am every day.
Yes.
And I don't mind that.
Yeah.
Because that's part of the fabric of my life.
Mhm.
And you should know, I'm proud to say, Man in the Mirror plays somewhere in this world every 8 seconds.
Wow.
Whoa. Oh my God.
8 seconds.
Every
Wow.
8 seconds.
Wow.
Man in the Mirror is being played somewhere in the
Yeah.
world. I just said that and I gave myself goosebumps.
You gave
Oh
me
my God.
goosebumps too.
Goosebumps too. Yeah.
Yeah.
No kidding.
That's the mark of a great message. And I
Yeah.
had a great messenger to
Yeah.
send that message.
Right.
It was just,
Right.
all the stars were aligned. It was just perfect. Quincy needed a song. Quincy was producing the album. Michael liked the song. Quincy got the song to Mike. It was just so many things had to be in alignment for that to have happened in the way that it did.
Right.
That it was magical. It was magic.
Siedah, can I ask you about the Super Bowl?
No.
Yes,
Yeah,
please.
Go ahead. Go ahead.
Because for
That
many of us believe that Michael set the standard for Super
Oh.
Bowl performances, but you were there.
No
You were on
question.
stage.
No freaking question. You know he did, and you notice now everybody's trying to beef their stuff up to beat what he did.
Yes.
He is the standard. He is the gold standard. Still today, even in depth, he's the gold standard of
Yes.
artistry, of music. I just feel so privileged to have had like a piece of that, to be on the periphery of that. I just feel so blessed. Very blessed.
Yes. Well, we were blessed to see it as well, especially when he, in the beginning of the Super Bowl, which he also did in the concerts, he pops out, stares at the audience,
We called it the toaster.
the toaster, thank you.
Yeah.
And,
He
and
talked about the-
everybody goes crazy for that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
All he had to do, and there was one time, oh my God, there was one time where the guys underneath the stage didn't have the toaster ready and the show had to start. Michael was so mad. He just walked on stage.
Mm-mm.
He walked on stage and he just stood. And the audience lost it anyway. They didn't even miss the toaster. But Michael was very upset with the crew that day. It was not pretty. But yeah.
But do we have another question for Siedah?
Yeah, I have one from Taylor Williams. And
Get it.
they said, they asked, did you ever pick up any jealousy vibes from other people because you were with Michael?
Wow.
Hell yes. Absolutely. Who wouldn't be jealous? I would be jealous. There's no, I mean, I know people today that auditioned for Quincy that didn't make the group that are like hating me right now. But you know what? Just like there were I have one regret. I rehearsed for the Bad tour. I rehearsed for like a week and a half. And then my record company said, you know, you got this duet coming out, you got Man in the Mirror coming out. You need to do your own album.
Mm-hmm.
And you need to stay here to do it. So I talked to Michael about it, and I talked to Quincy about it, and I talked to Rod Temperton about it. And they all suggested that I stay home and do this record. So I pulled out of the Bad tour. When I pulled out, enter Cheryl Crow.
Right. Right.
So that was one of my biggest regrets ever, because my album came and went, but the Bad tour will live forever.
Right. That was one of my questions. So I'm glad you answered that one.
Yeah, it was weird because when the Dangerous tour came around, what was the name of that show? America's Got Talent, I think it was. Where the artist, no, not American Idol. That's what
American
it was.
Idol, yes.
Yeah, the artist, one of the artists was doing Man in the Mirror, and somebody invited me down to watch the show, and I did. And during halftime, I went into the green room and I ran into Michael's nanny. And I'd only met her one time. It was the one time I went to Neverland. She was there. And she said, oh, Siedah, I was just on the phone to Michael. At this point, I hadn't seen Michael in a couple of years, 2-3 years, whatever. So she said, I was trying to reach him on the phone. When I get him back, I'll tell him that you're here. I said, great. I said, tell him, and I quote, tell Michael, I miss his black ass. She said, okay, I'll tell him. Yeah. So I got her, she put me on the phone when she finally got him. At the end of the show, I went back into the green room and she was there. She said, oh, here, I have Michael. So I get on the phone. I said, Mike, I miss your black ass, man. He starts laughing. He said, you are so crazy. I said, he said, what have you been doing? I said, I've been nominated for an Oscar. He said, I know, congratulations. I said, dude, you're going back on the road, right? He said, yes, we're going to do the Dangerous tour and it's going to be great and we're going to do this. And he starts going on and on and on. I said, I want to go. He said, you want to go on the Dangerous? I said, yes. He said, okay. And that's how I got to be on the Dangerous tour.
And we're happy you were on that tour.
Yes.
I'm too busy. I'm too big. I'm being nominated for Oscars. I wouldn't want to go back on the road with him, but it's him. Okay. Yeah. I want to go back on the road with you. Yes. I mean, we were treated with such royalty, such love and devotion. Everybody wanted to help. Everybody wanted to make our time there the best that we could have wherever we were. It was the best. It was the best time. Best time for us, probably among the worst times for him, unfortunately.
Right.
Before we wrap up, Siedah, I want to ask you what the word.
Wrap it?
Yeah.
Yeah, I went.
Not yet. One or two more questions.
You got it.
But you talked about your legacy, but what does the word legacy mean for you?
It means leaving something behind that means something to others. Leaving something behind that could help others. Creating something that would somehow aid humanity, whether it's speaking the truth or speaking what's in their hearts and being able to verbalize it through song, or be able to express sadness and hope and fear and joy, all through music. And that is truly a legacy in and of itself. I mean, Michael's legacy will live forever, long past. He's been dead years.
11 years today.
Jeez Louise.
Yeah.
His music will last forever. Just like Bach and Chopin. I mean, they didn't know we'd still be listening to their music in the year 2000, 2020, you know. Right. So I think his, in the year 2050, 2155, you'll still be listening to, Michael Jackson songs. It's just part of the fabric of our lives, all of us.
I call it the soundtrack of my life. I can pinpoint
absolutely
different points in my childhood, adulthood, where
music is it transcends time, and it transports us to different times in our lives through music. Like, we know the song we listened to when we graduated that night. When the night we graduated, we know what song was on my 30th birthday party. I know what music is an integral part of our lives, and the fact that I make music, that means I will become an integral part of your life.
Exactly.
And that means that's my legacy. Yeah. That means everything to me. If I can write something or say something through my music that touches you, touches your heart, changes your mind about something, makes you think about something, helps you improve yourself, then I'm a winner. I did my job. Exactly. That's all I'm here to do. Just express my music to help others express their feelings.
Well, we thank you very much for being with us for the last hour.
So much fun, and
we'll have to have you back. I want to say one thing about you were an important part. The reason why I asked the legacy question, because you think about legacy and you think about Michael's singing partners. And as far as I'm concerned, you were the best there was. Sorry, Sheryl Crow.
She wasn't really his singing partner. She was an employee on the road.
Well,
exactly.
But you know what? Sheryl hasn't done too bad for herself. I'm not mad at her.
She hasn't. She's won a couple
I believe Michael had a big part in that.
She hasn't won. She hasn't been nominated for an Oscar. Not
well,
once, but twice.
Yeah, there you go. Oh, listen, I'm writing musicals now. I'm
Tell us about what you're doing now before we say goodbye.
Yes, I'm currently writing. Do you all remember the great movie, A Rags to Riches story called The Pursuit of Happiness?
Yes.
Will Smith and his son played in the movie.
Yes.
Well, that movie is becoming a musical, a Broadway musical. And I've been writing for the last year or so. And I don't know what's going to happen with Broadway now, but I'm going to finish this Pursuit project and hopefully it will be destined for Broadway. And I just found out that I'm going to be a writer on the new show, Dear White People,
Oh,
on
that's on
Netflix.
Netflix,
And I
everybody. Yeah.
can't wait for that to start. So that's what I'm busy doing. I'm still writing, still creating, even though you may not hear from me. I'm diligently working behind the scenes, trying to come up with some new inspiration for everyone.
Well, when you're on Broadway, we will be in the front row cheering you on. So your
Excellent.
music, and we'll be singing along. And I'm
That's
gonna,
gonna be a minute because Broadway is shut down for
yes. Well,
indefinite. So
many
you
of
don't.
us had tickets to see the MJ musical that was supposed to open next week, actually, but they postponed it to March, so we will all be there. So
All right.
uh,
March of
but
next year.
March to next year, they postponed it too. So
Oh, you know what? I was where were we? In London with the MJ. I went to the MJ show in London, and I went backstage afterwards, and I spoke with the crew, and they were all in a semicircle, and they would ask me questions, and I would try to answer to the best of my ability. But they were so riveted, wanting to know, intimate details about my life and my time with Michael, and what it was like being on the road with him. And they were just wrapped. Their attention was just fixed. And sometimes when I talk about him and I talk about the effect he's had on my life, I tend to tear up. So I was talking to them and I started crying like I am right now. And they all started crying. So we just had a cry fest at the end of that.
Yeah.
It was great connecting with people who connected with him. It means a lot.
yeah.
Was that Thriller live?
What was
was
the
what?
question, Harrison?
Was that Thriller live?
Thriller Live, he's asking.
Or the
Yes, it was a Broadway show. Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah.
Oh, I'm sorry, West End. We're in London. It was West End.
Yeah.
West
Yeah.
End.
Yeah.
So, Siedah, before we say goodbye,
Yes.
I want to thank you for a performance that you gave a week after Michael passed away.
At Agape?
Yes, at Agape. And I'm going to play it for a second because I wanted to end the show with that.
Okay,
But,
and you should also know I'm singing again this Sunday, and it's
oh,
going to be live online at Agape.
okay, great. Well, we'll tune in.
Tune in. Yeah,
Make sure
But-
you share the link on your Twitter. I'll share it too if you
you
share
got it.
Yes.
Thank you. Will do.
Okay, great.
So I wanted to end just today's hour. I want to thank Eric for helping us set this up today.
Hey, Eric! Eric!
And thank you for staying the whole hour. We know that you were had hurt yourself, so we're
No
so
worries. I'm going to take a pill and I'll be fine. A couple of
You-
Advil and I'll be good as gold.
You have an open invitation, Siedah, to come visit with us if you want to talk about a new project, anything at all. We have over, I said 20 countries. I think it's 25 right now. And they're all in the chat room.
I wish I could say hi in every language, but I only know a couple.
So we want to thank you
so
for
much.
that.
It's been great.
Thank you. So I'm going to end today's broadcast with Siedah talking about Man in the Mirror. And this was happened maybe 6 days after Michael passed away. So bear with me for a second as I learn technology. Okay. Bear with me. But you can talk.
Can we talk amongst ourselves?
Yes, talk amongst yourselves. Here we go.
There we go.
Oh, yeah. Yeah.
Platform now, Siedah Garrett. Those of you who may not know, Siedah Garrett is the individual who wrote Man in the Mirror. So we invited her here today to
last couple of days, I've gotten hundreds of emails and phone messages and text messages of condolences,
Louder, yeah.
wishing me well, hoping I'm okay. I was asked by CNN, Entertainment Tonight, MSNBC, Hollywood Tonight, all these news media, they want me to talk about Michael. And I'm thinking, nobody was asking me to talk about Michael on Tuesday. Nobody was asking me to talk about Michael on Wednesday. And now everyone wants to hear whatever dirt I have to offer to feed into this media madness. I have nothing to offer. I must say the only place that I felt comfortable enough to speak about Michael was yesterday in rehearsal with the company choir. I realized I really hadn't had a chance to grieve, and as I was explaining to them, thanking them, oh, thank you. I'm new at this. Thank you. I was explaining to them how I was so pleased to have a place where I could speak about him and where they're not wanting me to spit foul things about the man. I don't know anything about his personal life. I know his music touched me. And that's all I know. Change for once in my life. It's gonna feel real good. Gonna make a difference. Gonna make it right. As I turn up the collar on my favorite winter coat.
Hey, B, we're good.
See the kids in the street. And enough to eat. Who am I to be blind, pretending not to see their needs? A summer's disregard, a broken bottle top, and a one-man solo. They follow each other on the wind, you know, 'cause they got no place to go. That's why I want you to know I'm starting with the man in the mirror. I'm asking him to change his ways. And no message could have been gathered. You want to make it well, let's make a change. In a victim of selfish kind of love, it's time that I realize there are some with no home, not a nickel to loan. Could it be really me, pretending that they're not alone? Oh, well, oh, deeply scarred, somebody's broken heart and a washed out dream. They follow the pattern of the wind, you know. They got no place to go. That's why I want you to know I'm starting with the man in the mirror. I'm asking you to change my ways. And no message could have been that mirror. If you want to make the world a better place, take a look now, then make a change. I'm starting with the man in the mirror. And I'm asking him
And thank you, Siedah Garrett.
Thank you, everybody.
I'm loving.
God continue blessing you, Siedah. We love you very much.
Thank you. And I love you back. I really do. That was fun. So check me out this Sunday, y'all.
Yeah, we will. We'll post it on our pages.
Wonderful. Thank you so much, Melanie. This has
All
been
right.
amazing.
Thank you. Bye-bye.
Thank you so much.
Bye. Bye, everybody.
Bye, everybody.
Bye, Siedah.
Woo!